welcome and welcome back. I am very excited to be here today with kind of another blast from the past video. I know I've been talking a lot, I feel, about nostalgia recently. That's because I've just been feeling, like, old recently. But luckily for you guys, we are not here to delve into my age crisis. Instead, I thought it would be fun to kind of channel that energy into something interesting. So I'm not honestly sure how I thought about this. I know I was at work, and instead of thinking about work, I was thinking about what I was going to do a video on, and I thought it would be interesting to react to dolls that came out the year I was born. So I did talk about this in some other video, I can't remember which one it was, but I am 23 going on 24. I was born in 1997, so I am kind of like awkwardly on the cusp of millennial and Gen Z. I'm technically a 90s baby, but like I don't remember the 90s, I only remember the early 2000s. So it's kind of like a weird time to have been born. And I thought it would be really interesting to go back and look at the dolls that were released that year, because chances are I don't remember any or many of them specifically. But yeah, I was just kind of curious to see what was being produced when I came onto this earth. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. If you were also born in 1997 or kind of like around there where that like awkward decade clashes, I hope that you also enjoy this. If not, I still hope that you can have fun looking back at these dolls that maybe weren't around when you were a kid, or maybe you remember them as an adult. I don't know. But yes, let's get into it. So, I don't know why, but when I looked up dolls that were made in 1997, which by the way is a very hard thing to search, like dolls that were made in a specific year, but one of the first ones that I found specifically was this Spice Girls doll. I'm assuming that they had the rest of the Spice Girls as well, but the one that I found was Posh Spice, apparently. I don't know if this is because I am, like, in that weird era of time between the 90s and the 2000s that I don't know anything about the Spice Girls, or if it's just because I was a sheltered kid. Like, I'm not really sure why I don't know anything about the Spice Girls. But yeah, I don't know anything about the Spice Girls, except for the fact that I know that they were iconic. So I did think it was interesting that this doll came out the year that I was born. Like I said, I have no idea what was going on with that. I don't know anything about the Spice Girls. But I do think it is probably very reminiscent of the 90s as a decade to have a Spice Girls doll. From purely a doll standpoint, obviously not being a fan or anything like that, she does seem kind of boring to me. Like, she's got the arms that are stuck like in the robot pose. She's wearing just black and all black accessories. So like, as a collector, bleh, like not really exciting as like a doll collector. Maybe if you are a Spice Girls fan, this is something that you're in for. I also forgot to mention, I will have links to all of these dolls down in the description below, just because I want to give credit to the photos that I found. These are old dolls, so they're not all stock images. Like, some of them are images that people have like taken of their own dolls, so I wanted to be able to give credit, but just some of the websites are like a little odd. Like, some are Amazon and some are websites that I've never heard of, so like click at your own risk. I don't think anything's gonna happen to you. That sounds so bad. But I just wanted to be able to have the links in the description box so that I'm not just taking people's pictures and not giving them credit. So this one was off Amazon. So if you want to look at a Spice Girls doll on Amazon, there you are. The next like kind of category of dolls that I looked at was the 1997 Disney dolls. So Disney has been releasing dolls for ages now. I knew that there were going to be some, and I was very curious to see what Disney dolls looked like when I was first born, because I do collect them now. So the first one that I have is an Ariel and Eric wedding set, which I think is just precious. Like, I love that it's a wedding set. I don't know, I feel like every Ariel doll that I see is usually her with like the tail. I have like the basic Ariel and Eric doll from the Disney store from like 2015 or something like that. So yeah, I just thought this was like a really cute idea to have them in their wedding garb. I will say that the faces are absolutely freaky to me. I don't know if they were trying to be like slightly more movie accurate and be like a little bit more cartoonish with the faces. I'm not sure what the goal was there, but frankly, they just kind of freak me out. Like the really big eyes and like the wide smile. It's a little much for me. But on the flip side, I think that the clothes are actually pretty good, especially for Eric. When you look at like, again, I'm basing this off of like basic, like Disney classic dolls that are in the stores now. But the male dolls really have lackluster fashions, to say the least. So I thought it was really cool that this one actually looked really, really nice. Like, it's not perfect. He doesn't have actual buttons running down his jacket, but he has like little tassels on his shoulder caps. I don't know what those things are called. So I think that's really cute. And Ariel's dress is like a little shimmery. I don't know, I was in for this one. If it weren't for the faces, I might have actually purchased this, like, off of eBay or something. They look terrifying, but I think it would be really cute if Disney, like, re-released this now with today's face molds, but these fashions, because I think it's adorable. I'm also just a Little Mermaid fan, so, like, I'm a little biased. Then the next Disney doll is a Jasmine doll. She's wearing her purple outfit. She is apparently from the Princess Stories collection. This was when I was a literal infant, so I have no idea what that was. But again, I will say that I think the clothing looks really, really good, especially when compared to basic Disney store dolls now. I think that it looks really, really nice. Her hair is a little weird, like it's very, very thick in her ponytail and like kind of flat up here. Of course, it is in a box, so like that could be part or most of the problem. And then her face is actually not as bad as the Ariel and Eric ones. Like, I don't know, I feel like all dolls from the 90s that I've seen pictures of, like 80s and 90s dolls, have just a different sort of face mold than dolls today. I'm not really sure why that is, but they definitely were all different stylistically. But I think that you see it less on this Jasmine doll. Like, I think that she looks a little bit less cartoony. Like, she doesn't look like she does now with the dolls, but she looks less terrifying to me. Which is good, because I do think a lot of the dolls just look really freaky with their faces. But I think she looks pretty good. And then the last of the 1997 Disney dolls that I was going to share with you today is this Meg and Hercules set. Again, I think the set is really, really cute. That seemed to be a big thing from this year. I don't know why they don't do that as much now, but I think it's really cute to have, like, the two main characters from their movies in a set together. I think that's absolutely adorable. Obviously, they are not wearing movie-accurate clothing. Meg's dress and Hercules' kind of getup, they're both different colors than they are in the movie, but the clothing is incredible. Like, I'm looking at the actual rope detail on Meg's dress, and it's like, can I have that? Like, I would love to see that now. It's so, so cool. And the fact that, like, Hercules has a 3D belt buckle, Meg has, like, 3D little clasps on her dress up here. I don't know, like, I think the clothing, it just looks so good, and, like, the different textures in her dress, the different layers in Hercules, like, I'm here for it. It looks so good when it comes to the clothes. Faces, once again, have taken a downturn. I think that these are definitely the worst of the bunch. I do think for sure that they were trying to go for, like, movie faces, especially with Hercules. Like, he looks a little bit more movie accurate. Meg doesn't look like Meg, and also just doesn't look good face-wise, in my opinion. Like, she's unsettling. I'm not really in for it. I also think that they could have done something different with her hair, like the single curl here. Again, like, it could just be because this is a picture of it in box, but it doesn't look great for me. So my takeaway from the Disney dolls is that the faces were something else, but the clothing was so nice. Like, I want some of that back. This next one I actually do have memories of. How exciting, something I know about. So this is a Betty Spaghetty doll. There were a lot of Betty Spaghettys that came out in 1997. This is just one that I found to kind of be an example for you guys. I do know that this line carried on into the 2000s, and I had some of these as a child. I loved Betty Spaghetty. Like, it's purely nostalgia factor, because looking at them now, they're probably not objectively the prettiest of dolls, and like, the term doll is very loose there, but I remember loving to play with these so much as a kid, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think that part of me liked that you could pop off literally all of their body parts, so you could have endless interchangeable fashions and all of that fun stuff. But mostly I think it was a textile thing with their hair, because it was like these long plastic strands. Some of them had like clear glittery strands as well as the color of their hair. And I just was obsessed with that as a child. Like, I've always been very, like, texture oriented. I'm really big on texture. I can't touch, like, certain kinds of textures because it just feels really gross to me. And then other ones I absolutely love. And I loved the feeling of Betty Spaghetty hair. Like, these are ones that I would honestly buy one today just to, like, reminisce and feel that, because it was just so cool. But yeah, the line as a whole, it was kind of a weird concept, like, lots of little pieces, so kind of dangerous for kids. But, like, they just look different than everything else on the market. I will say, though, from what I know, being born in that kind of generational mid-zone, I feel like these are quintessential 90s, early 2000s. Like, the colors, the prints, it's all very old school for me. These just kind of came up randomly in my search. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because, A, I don't remember the dolls, and also B, I'm gonna embarrass myself here, but I'm not a Star Wars person. I've never seen Star Wars. I don't really want to. There's enough shows that I'm totally obsessed with, and frankly, I don't need to add one to the list. But yeah, some Star Wars dolls came out in 1997. These were some dolls that I thought I would throw up in case anyone did remember them and had like nostalgia for them. Like I said, I have no idea what's happening here. But 1997, Star Wars dolls. Then we have American Girl. So I talked about this in my Mattel brand ranking, that I never owned American Girl dolls as a child, but I was aware of them. Like, I kind of knew that they existed. Mostly I wanted to throw this one in here because I think it's interesting to see how they haven't changed that much. Like, there's always going to be little tweaks here and there, but it's kind of interesting that American Girl dolls that were made in 1997 and then American Girl dolls today, like the basic shape and like the eyes and all that, it really is quite similar. So it's cool that it's a brand that's been around for so long, that is pretty iconic, I would say, and they haven't really had to change anything drastically to continue to be relevant. Obviously, they're coming out with different characters and different girls all the time, so like that helps carry them around. But I did think it was really interesting that a doll that came out almost 24 years ago is so similar to a doll that came out today, because most of these, like if you look at Barbie from the 90s and then Barbie from today, which we are going to do in a second, the style is very different. You can see through the decades how Barbie has changed drastically with her face molds and the way that they do her hair and like all this kinds of stuff. But American Girl is pretty consistent. So that was just a fascinating little tidbit that I discovered during my delve into the internet history of dolls. Okay, like I said, we were gonna get to Barbie. Obviously, I had to talk about Barbie in this. She's been around for ages. So yeah, it would be interesting to see what Barbie dolls came out in 1997. And of course, the first one that came up when I looked this up was the Holiday Barbie. And let me just say, she is an icon. Like, I'm not a fan of the dress in the sense that I would never wear something like this. I don't think that it's like an elegant design necessarily. That's not the word I would use, but it is extravagant. And I'm here for it. Like, I love that. I like the layers. I love the different textures. I love the necklace and earrings that she's got going on. Like, Barbie is decked out in this holiday edition. It's so just cool looking to see all of these details on a Barbie doll. So, like, even though I don't like it, if that makes sense, I really like it. And with this one, I do think that you can see in Barbie's face that she had a different face in 1997 than she does now. Like, the molding is a little bit different, like the paint is not the same. But she doesn't look creepy like the Disney dolls did. I just think it's cool. Like, she's got a different look. I think that you could look at her and kind of tell what era she was from if you were a Barbie connoisseur. But she still looks fabulous. I would dare say she looks better then than she does now. This is another pretty iconic Barbie doll, the Rapunzel Barbie, which is interesting because this came out the year I was born, and I did love Barbie movies as a kid, but I liked The Princess and the Pauper and then Swan Lake. I never really got into Barbie Rapunzel. But that being said, I do know that she is a favorite of a lot of Barbie movie fans, so of course I had to include her in here. I think it's really cool. Again, all of the detail that she's got going on. She's got different layers in her dress. And then she has like a gimmick with her hair where you can like wind it up or something and it gets longer or shorter. So you can kind of play out different scenes from the movie, which I think is just so cool and fun. And I remember being a kid and Barbie dolls having those sorts of gimmicks, especially for the movie Barbies, where they would do something fun like light up or have wings that like unfolded. And I miss that. I'm having a lot of feelings. This one is actually the last Barbie and the last doll that I have to look at with you guys today, and that is an Olympic figure skating Barbie. I have a lot of the same notes. She's got a very like 90s, 2000s Barbie face, and I think it looks good. It's not creepy, but it is different. She's got a ton of detail. She's got an actual ribbon and a little Olympic medal. Of course, it's a gold medal. Barbie would never settle for silver. She's got layers to her outfit. It's hard for me to tell because this picture is in box, but it looks like she might have actual tights. Like, hello? Good for Barbie. But yeah, those are all of the dolls that I found interesting that came out in my birth year. I think that my big takeaways are across the board, oddly enough. The clothing seemed to be a lot more quality in 1997 than it is today for like sort of fashion play line dolls. Which is sad because I knew that with brands like Barbie. Like, I did expect to go into this thinking that the Barbie dolls were better made, but I didn't realize that I would feel the same way about the Disney dolls. I don't know, it's just, it's interesting to me to see that companies have kind of like refocused where they put the quality. So it feels like they're putting more effort into some places, like the faces, and then they're taking effort away from places like the clothing. And I think it's interesting because from my standpoint, I would think that they want to grow in every direction and make everything better. But I guess I'm wrong. I don't know. It was just kind of an odd observation for me. But this was definitely a fun throwback to the past for me. I did not know a lot of these dolls were released in my birth year, so that was kind of interesting to see these dolls that are as old as I am, and especially the ones that are like still floating around on eBay. It's cool to think that with the internet and with the technology and connectivity that we have now, I could buy a doll that's as old as I am, and it's not even that difficult for me. So I don't know. It was just kind of a fun little walk down memory lane. I hope that you guys enjoyed walking down with me. What are your opinions on these dolls? Do you think that dolls, if you were collecting then, are better now versus then, or vice versa? Just kind of give me your thoughts and opinions and feelings. Let's talk old dolls in the comments today. But yes, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, your night, whatever it might be, and I will see you guys next week in the next video. Bye, y'all.